Hey guys, it's Brianna here. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. Today I have the video that I am so excited to finally share. It is going to be my spooky romance recommendations that are literally perfect for Halloween. So let's go ahead and get started. I had to break out my Oogie Boogie earrings and my brand new Goosebumps shirt. I just feel like they are literally perfect for this season. I am so excited. I have quite a bit of recommendations for you guys, so let's go ahead and jump into these recommendations. Before I do start, like I said, these are all dark romances, so if you have any triggers or any content warnings that you are kind of trying to stay away from, please do your research. A great place to start is going to be Goodreads or checking out the author's websites directly, because a lot of authors do give an extensive list of any triggers, content warnings that their books might have. All of these books are either set on Halloween or around that time frame, so they are legit the perfect recommendations for this video. So I'm going to start off with one that's kind of like loosely based around Halloween, but I felt like it was a really good book to include, and I feel like, in my opinion, it deserves more hype. So I'm talking about Fatal Harmony by Anne Malcolm. This is a paranormal romance following our heroine who's been around for a couple hundred years, and it's in this vampire society that is a monarchy. The king wants her to go kill somebody or track down this person because she is more of a people observer, and that's what she's done over the years. She is a very sarcastic, funny character, and it's just a great time. I'm pretty sure there's more than 3 books in this series, but I stopped at 3 because I felt satisfied. I didn't feel the need to continue. It is really good. Highly recommend. I'm pretty sure these are also on KU, so if you're a KU user, here you go. Next up, I have a series that literally everybody talks about, so I'm going to go ahead and get it out of the way. It is actually a series that I'm currently working on because I started it 6 years ago and I haven't finished, so I've got to finish it this year. So I still feel comfortable adding it because I have read at least, I'm pretty sure, the first 2 books in the series. I just need to finish. I'm going to reread and then continue on. I'm talking about the Devil's Night series by Penelope Douglas. There are 4 books in this series and I think 2 novellas that kind of like intermingle. I plan on reading those also because I want the full experience of the series. It's so good. It's literally centered around Halloween night, and act like a event that happens that kind of like spirals the entire series. It is quite the chunky series, so it's quite the commitment, but I highly recommend these. The covers alone give off spooky vibes. It's literally perfection. This book is series, I feel like I don't need to talk about it because I feel like everybody has either read the series or knows about the series, so I'm not going to talk too much detail about it, but this is literally perfect. Another book that follows around kind of the same concept of Devil's Night is going to be Devil's Day Party, I think is the title, and I think this is by Seaman Stunnage. I don't have a physical copy, but I have it up here on the screen. This one to me has kind of similar vibes, but not really, because so overall I really enjoy this book. I still highly recommend it. Think of Groundhog's Day in that kind of concept. So basically our heroine is going to this party that her parents are like, no, I don't want you going. I know she has younger siblings or like a younger sister or something like that, and she's literally going through the motions of one day, and then she gets to the party for like Devil's Night and whatever, and I'm pretty sure she's about to die or dies, and then she wakes up. But the problem is the day has already started all over again, literally the same day, and she's like, what? Like, what are you all talking about? Today's the day after Halloween. They're like, no, it's not. It's Halloween. What are you talking about? And so it becomes a story of her trying to correct everything that kind of happened that day and try to prevent things that are happening, because once she fixes one problem, then another problem happens. And she's like, why can't I figure it out? So it's very interesting. I feel like it can get kind of repetitive because you're literally reliving the same day. So it gets very like monotonous, which I guess kind of like puts together the whole vibe of this book. So it's very interesting, and I definitely recommend it because, like I said, it does follow that kind of same vein of Devil's Night, but think of Groundhog's Day. So very interesting. Highly recommend it still. Next up, I have another book that I feel like just gives off like those spooky vibes. So it's not necessarily centered around Halloween. However, the vibes in this book are perfect for Halloween. And I'm talking about Still Bleeding by Jennifer Hartman. This is another book that I feel like everybody knows about or has read at this point. This is a captive situation, except both the hero and the heroine are kidnapped together and put into this basement of this like serial killer, like psychopath, insane person. And this isn't the first couple to have been taken. So basically they're not a couple at this point. The hero is engaged to the heroine's sister, and our heroine has always had a thing for him, but has never voiced that opinion because he's basically off limits. But things happen with the crazy person. It's kind of nasty, and they literally have to survive because the guy's like, I'm gonna kill one of y'all, like y'all ain't gonna make out alive. And it's how they get through that situation, escape, and then how they basically join society again after being stuck in this basement for an amount of time. And there's so much trauma, and no amount of help is really going to help them like recover from the situation, because other than people that may have gotten out of the situation, the only people that really understood what happened are them too. And so it's kind of their story, and how it obviously turns into a love story based off of everything that's happened between them two. So highly recommend that one. Another book that I'm going to go ahead and talk about, because again, it's another very popular book, and it's not going to be for everybody. Please know that. This is like one of the darkest books that I've ever read in my entire life. And I'm talking about this book by Tilly Cole. This is an Alice in Wonderland retelling, and it is extremely graphic, very dark. Like I said, one of the darkest books I've ever read. If you have any triggers at all, please go look them up for this book, because like I said, this book is not going to be for everybody. If you're a dark romance reader like I am, you could probably go check it out, as long as you don't have any triggers or triggers that fall under this book. This one's very trigger happy. There's a lot that goes on in this book. Obviously, like I said, it is an Alice in Wonderland retelling. Basically, our heroine is kidnapped at a very young age and has some things that are done to her that should never happen to a young child, like by family members, people that she's supposed to be like really close to. It's disgusting, and that kind of like sets up the story for this and why she is such a like crazy character, because of the things that have happened to her. The people that she's supposed to trust in this world literally betray her and take advantage of her. Like I said, this book is not going to be for everybody. This book is super, super freaking dark, but I absolutely love it. If you want one that'll give you like chills and be freaked out, here you go. It's disturbing, but I really love that book. Next up, I have another book. I'm gonna get one of the more like well-known books out of the way, because I still need to talk about them because they are perfect for spooky season. I've got to talk about Haunting Adeline by H.G. Carlton. Everybody knows about this duet, as well as the prequel, which I will mention in just a second. But you can't have spooky recommendations without including this duet. This is a stalker duet, so this is book 1. In my opinion, book 2, which is Hunting Adeline, is actually my favorite in the duet. The stakes are higher in that book, and just a lot more happens, and you're like, book 2 is about this size. Like, I think it's over 600 pages for book 1 or something. So it's a commitment, but I highly recommend it. The overall trope is stalker romance, obviously. So I highly recommend it. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I feel like everybody has heard of this book, and you probably have gotten a recommendation from everybody and their best friend at this point. So let me go ahead and talk about the prequel, which is going to be Satan's Affair, by H.G. Carlton. This is the prequel to Haunting Adeline. You don't have to read it before Haunting Adeline, but you do have to read it before you pick up book 2, which is Hunting Adeline, because Sibby, our main character in this book, has a bigger presence in book 2, so you have to know her character and who she is before you can dive into it. And from my understanding, I've made a couple of videos already talking about this, so if you've seen my previous videos, I'm sorry you're going to hear this again, but I'm pretty sure H.G. Carlton announced that Sibby's actually going to get a full-length book, and I'm freaking out. I love Sibby. This book is very dark for a novella. It's messed up. This is a wide shoes reverse harem book. I have already talked about why I don't use reverse harem anymore. Check out previous videos. I have a recommendation video I recently did about reverse harem, so if you want to get more information about that, start there, or go to TikTok because there's videos talking about reverse harem. Anyway, that's not what this video is for. This is literally set on Halloween. Our character Sibby is working in like a circus haunted house type thing, and she dresses up like a doll. Like, she acts like a doll, like a creepy doll, whatever. And her whole thing is, when these people are walking through the haunted house, when they walk past her, obviously people give off like scents, but for her, when people walk past, they have one of two scents. They either have a rotting scent, which is like they're evil, and that's when she knows she can go in and kill off that person, which is the whole premise of this book. Or if they're good people, they will have like more of like a floral, like nice scent. So she's like, all right, okay, cool. So her henchmen are obviously the men that she's involved with. They help kill these people, and it's just so good. So like I said, either read it before Haunting Adeline or before book 2. All right, so I'm going to continue on the novella train and talk about another novella, and I'm going to recommend The Dare by Harley LaRue. This is a book that is no longer available, at least in Kindle version, on Amazon. You can get it from the author's website, and I think download it from like Eden's Books or something. So definitely know that. You can get the paperback still, but because of the content in this book and horrible people in the book world, unfortunately, the book got banned from Amazon. So the author is still able to have the paperback available. And then also, I think recently, her recent release, which is called Losers, I'm pretty sure is kind of like like a continuation or like an expansion of this novella, but turned into a wide shoes. And I'm I'm really excited. So basically, this follows, it's like a new adult kind of romance. So we follow our two characters, and basically at this party, our heroine goes up to, I think his name is Mason or Manson or something. Yeah, Manson. That's right. Because I was like, it sounds like Marilyn Manson. Anyway. And it literally becomes like a truth or dare type situation, except if she is dared to do something, like she can't back out of it. And so it's basically them going through the night. And it starts out kind of innocent for like college kids. And then it starts to go from there. Let's say there's one scene that I will never forget that involves more than one man, which is why I think the expansion of the story, which is why it becomes a wide shoes, and it involves masks. It's very interesting. I really like this book, so highly recommend it. Like I said, I haven't read it yet, so I'm not 100% sure, but if you just want something quick, you can either buy the book directly from the author on her website and then read it ebook wise, or you can just buy the physical copy and read it that way. But I highly recommend it. So hopefully next year when I make another video or whatever, I can safely recommend Losers. So we'll see. Next up, let's go ahead and talk about the same author, because if I'm going to talk about that book, I got to talk about this book. This is Her Soul to Take. Now, this one's completely different because that one is more of like a contemporary, like modern kind of thing. This one's not. This is paranormal. And so basically, the whole concept behind this book is, so we have our heroine who moves into this town. There's a lot of like, it's like a hub for like supernatural creatures, paranormal creatures that kind of seek out this place. And we have our hero, who is obviously a demon. When they first come across paths, she is going to this like museum or house or something. She's not supposed to be there. And our hero, he is not a nice guy. And he's like, you need to leave right now. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like all that. Well, okay, I'm so sorry. Like, I know I'm supposed to be here. I'll leave. And it goes from there. He is obviously a demon. He is summoned by this group of kids who are basically, they're kind of like a, I don't want to say a cult because that's very extreme. Like a group of kids. That's what's so sad, because they're, in my opinion, they're kids. And they basically want to like get rid of these characters. And so they summon our hero. and his job is to basically take their soul. And their next sacrifice is going to be the heroine, and that's kind of where their story progresses. Is he's actually supposed to take her soul and then kind of like gets to know her, and it goes from there. There is a sequel. I actually have it on my TBR for this year. The sequel is called Her Soul for Revenge, and it follows the friends that you meet in this book. So I'm very excited about that book. So hopefully next year I can recommend the sequel. So highly recommend it. Literally spooky vibes, atmosphere, perfection. On that same note, a book with amazing atmosphere that I literally just read like mid-September. Didn't expect it to go this way. I'm talking about Wicked Little Sins by A.R. Breck. This is actually an exclusive edition from Dark and Disturbed, so you probably have seen the one that has like a Ouija board type thing. So I just only have at this time the special edition, but I recommend this book because it's kind of a similar premise where you're in this town that has a lot of like not supernatural, because this isn't like a obvious like where there's obviously characters who are supernatural, but there's very like questionable things going on in this town. Like, could it be like ghost activity, that kind of stuff. And it is a step sibling relationship, that kind of thing. The parents of our two characters, they get together in this book, and our heroine is kind of like enamored by the hero, but the hero absolutely hates her, and he wants to make her life miserable. So that's where all these little things come into play. He is a horrible character to her and does all these things. She starts to see like all these ghosts, these paranormal activity. It's very freaky. There's one scene that made me think of Stranger Things, specifically season 4, with all of like the exorcism type stuff from Vecna, what happens to their bodies. Something kind of happens along those lines. Obviously not Vecna and that whole storyline, but kind of the same idea where these people are getting possessed and then they die. I get those kind of like similar vibes to this book. I love this book. This book was nothing like I expected it to be. I did not expect this book to be as dark as it was. So please know that it is pretty dark, but it is so good. It gives off literally these spooky vibes for Halloween. It is perfection. Perfection. Another book that has absolutely amazing atmosphere, not as dark, but has like those dark elements to it. I'm talking about Gothicana by Rune X. The sequel, Arcana, is coming out soon, or if not, it's already out now. Oh my god. Y'all, this book is so good. It is a dark academia book. It is a forbidden romance. We have a student-teacher, like student-professor relationship, and it's set at this like really spooky, old-school boarding school, and it's just a great time. It has like secret society type stuff. There's so many like things that are happening. You're like, wait, what's gonna happen now? Is this gonna happen? No, wait, that's not right. Like, you're constantly wondering what's gonna happen next, and it's a pretty chunky book. It literally has the spooky vibes. I read it last year in October, and it fulfilled everything I could ever ask for in a spooky book. So I'm gonna recommend it this year. Everybody talks about this book. It deserves all of the hype. It is literally perfect for Halloween. Perfect. Obviously, all the books that I'm talking about are obviously perfect for Halloween. But yeah. I have one more book to recommend that I feel like still is really good for spooky season, and I'm going to talk about A Lady of Rooksgrave Manor by Catherine Moon. I feel like I've used this book in a lot of recent videos, but this is a monster white shoe series, and book 2 is also on my spooky TBR for this year. But basically, our heroine is working as an escort of some sort, except it's like they both can be happy. Like, it's not like a I just have to do it because I need to make money type thing. So obviously this is a monster romance. There's like 5 or 6 men that are in the picture. One's a ghost. There's like a gargoyle. There's a sphinx. I think a wolf, like a vampire. All these supernatural beings that just want to be with her in however they can make the relationship work. There are some different elements to the story that kind of give it a, I guess, a story behind it. And it's not just these characters that she's being with, it's actually got a suspense element to it. It's really good. I highly recommend. It is a standalone. Like, the second book actually follows another girl that is in this world. I can't remember who it is, but I'm just really excited because I really like this author's writing, and it's so good. So highly recommend it. So those are all of my spooky romances for this Halloween. I am so excited that I got to share these recommendations. I have been creating this list, I feel like, for months now. I have been so excited for spooky season. I have always said that Christmas is my favorite holiday. I think that may not be true. I think Halloween may be my new favorite season. I love Christmas and I love the whole vibe of it. I don't know if it's just this time of year. I've always said October through December are my favorite 3 months of the year. Like, it is my absolute favorite. But I really think Halloween may be my new favorite holiday. I don't know. It's just been so much fun. I have a lot of books that I want to get to this year, so hopefully next year I'll have a really good recommendation list for you guys. But these are definitely some books that I highly recommend that you should definitely check out. If you have some books that I didn't mention here, definitely leave them down in the comments below. Let me know what you're going to read this year, because like I said, I'm going to start building my next year's TBR. Whatever books that I don't get to this year, which I have over 30 books I think on my TBR, so it's quite the undertaking. Plus, obviously, I have my Goosebumps shirt on. I really want to do a reread because I don't remember how many I read as a kid. Anyway, I really want to read some of the Goosebumps books. If not, make it like a challenge where I read all of them. There's over 100 books at this point. The original story arc has 62 books. So it is going to be something that obviously I can't complete in 1 month on top of all the other books I want to read. I think over time, I think it'd be a really fun challenge because they are children's books. I literally read one book in like an hour. They're very quick reads, so I think it'd just be fun, mostly for nostalgia purposes, because I grew up reading Goosebumps. They terrified me as a child. Maybe that's why I like Halloween. I don't know. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye, guys.